All right, welcome back to the internet. Today we're going to be talking about how code is the ultimate form of leverage, how going forward in the future it's going to be the most valuable skill to know how to build things, to code things, and basically use AI. I'm going to explain why it's actually the best and a lot of the other skills might be completely worthless. So let's get into it. First of all, we have to know what actually is leverage, and I have a little quote here. It says, "Give me a lever, uh, a long enough and a fulcrum." You can read that. You can read it. I can't, obviously, but essentially, he's saying that the more leverage you have, the more power you have. Okay, so you can move the world if you have a long enough lever. That's where the word leverage comes from, obviously. So two examples here. One is money or capital. Capital is actually leverage because you can invest your money to do other things. Let's say if you're running a business where you put $10 into ads and you make $15 out, well, the more money you have, the more money you can make. So therefore, money is leverage because you can put in a bunch of money and get a bunch out without having to do extra work, right? It's just the money doing the work for you. You can invest it and inflation will grow your money. That's how money is leverage. Another form of leverage is collaboration, where you get a bunch of people working together. And let's say you're at the top, then you're basically getting leverage because they're working and you're making progress from their efforts without having to do any extra work yourself. And then let's also say there's two other forms of leverage. So this is the article that I wrote on my website. Naval coined kind of the four types of leverage, and I think Alex Hormozi remembers it as the four C's. So we have, oh yeah, okay, capital, collaboration, which we just talked about. Then there's content. So if you make like a YouTube video, or if you write an article, or if you make any sort of content, you can spend, an hour making it, and then people can watch it a million times, and you're going to get like, basically a million times your output for the work that you put in. So content is leverage. And then finally, code, because you can build something with code and it can be reused infinite times. It has, an extremely low cost of reproduction, and thus you can get extremely big results for low input. So those are the four fundamental types of leverage. And now we're going to talk about how code is actually probably the best way to negate all of these. So essentially, the premise that we're talking about this is because of AI. Okay, AI is what allows us to actually like change up the entire rulebook, change up everything that's been kind of set for a while. And the first thing that we'll talk about is collaboration. Okay, so collaboration is extremely strong because, I mean, if you look at like Jeff Bezos, Steve Jobs, they don't even say that like, oh, I'm super smart and had like good vision and I'm really good at quick scoping. No, instead they talk about their ability to find and hire high quality people. So that might be actually the most valuable skill because you can get other people who are extremely talented to do work and kind of build your dreams for you. But this is changing because now we have this thing called an AI agent, okay? And I'm going to try to explain this as well as I can. One thing we have here that I wanted to show, this might actually work better if I talk about this in terms of the leverage. But we can look at this image, and this is kind of showing what an AI agent does. So it's following this whole process, and this is something that a human would do, that a human would basically like have to put together themselves, but it's the AI doing it for them. So we can actually go, so just to show you what I mean by this is one of the biggest things I'll be talking about is agents. So with actually, it's not going to be 4.0. Let's say we use GPT 01. I should just like write this out because it's faster. But if we use GPT 01 and right here, let's say we have like a video idea. So we want to make like a video. We would tell our employee like make a video, or we tell the AI. So 01, we start out with an idea, and then at the end we want a video, right? And we want it to be like published. And in this step, so like we'll need a script, and then we'll need what would we need? a script, and then like a voiceover, and then like footage, and then like post. Okay, and so we'll do VO for voiceover, and then VOI voiceover, and then this would be footage, and then post. Okay, and GPT-o1 could kind of come up with like a strategy to execute on all of this, and then for all of these steps, it's deploying different models or different prompts of, and you guessed it, it would be like GPT-4o or whatever model is most attuned to the task. So you can essentially have like an agent that runs, it prompts itself, it keeps iterating, and that's kind of like how a recursive, like that's kind of how people work, and that's how agents can work very soon. And here's just another example, just so you can see what I'm on about. So if we have Devin, which is developed by Cognition Labs, and it uses ChatGPT to build software, we would basically tell it what to do. It comes up with a scope of kind of things that it needs to do. And then we can see here, it has 4 different tabs where it's talking to you, and it has a terminal where it can run and test things. It has a browser where it can view it, and then it has a code editor where it can actually go in and make changes. And it just recursively prompts itself and keeps going until it solves the problem. This will eventually be able to replace an actual kind of modern knowledge worker, especially because it can get the same amount done in, you know, an hour as someone could get done in a month, right? So that, if I didn't beat it to death too badly, is collaboration, and why collaboration might be kind of negated in the future. So the next thing that we'll talk about is content. Okay, and I was showing you this thing on GitHub. So in fact, like if you think about it, one of the biggest ways that people are getting rich these days, and probably kind of the most like successful people, are content creators. So you look at like Jake Paul, Logan Paul, Joe Rogan. I mean, those are the only people that came to mind. But you look on YouTube, there's probably hundreds of thousands of people earning a full living or getting extremely rich off of having content and selling things, or, you know, having AdSense, right? And the crazy thing is, you don't actually need an AI or a person to do everything. So if we look at this video I pulled up, I was watching this the other night when I couldn't sleep, or I was listening to it. It was a good story. It was a great video, and it got 2.1 million views and 64,000 likes. So 2.1 million views is looks like that. 100,000, 2 million. And then let's say that for every, we'll divide by 1,000 to get the milli. So that's 2,100 milli, or 1,000 people, if that makes sense, that viewed it. And on YouTube, you might get, I mean, I'm not exactly sure, but you might get like a $5 CPM. So you might get like $5 per 1,000 people that view your video. But that's going to be $10,500 for this guy, you know, like gross revenue. If it's an actual $5 CPM, it's probably a bit lower, but either way, that's pretty good. I mean, you could probably make a video like this a week, or that might be ambitious, every 2 weeks if you're really trying. But the crazy thing about this video is he never shows his face. It's just kind of footage. It's got this background, and it's like, it's just a long video without a face with random footage. And this does not actually require a human to do it. I mean, if you think about it, obviously you want a human to do it. You want to think that a human came up with this story and kind of like put it together and made it really entertaining, and that's exactly what happened. But there's nothing kind of fundamentally about this that says that an AI couldn't do that. You know, AI can pass the Turing test already, and they can that kind of proves that they can do something similar to this. The biggest problems are, how does it ever edit, and how does it know what footage to grab? That's kind of the biggest bottleneck. But if we look at this thing I found on GitHub by David97 whatever, this is a program that automatically creates and posts videos on TikTok and Instagram and whatever. So if we just go to this account, okay, there we go. Then it's actually going to show all these posts are made entirely by if we look at this, um, one, two. Okay, so that was made earlier this year. So I guess he kind of turned it off because it's not that great at the moment. But just imagine when this is just as good as any person making videos on TikTok. I mean, it's absolutely going to destroy people because it can make 100 videos in one day. And kind of one of the biggest things is if you look at TikTok, like it almost ends up being just volume. Like you'll see accounts where they post 100 the same video 100 times, and a few of them just blow up, seemingly for no reason because not all of them blew up, right? So with content, I mean, we already have tools like this. They're not that great yet, but they will be. I mean, it's basically LLMs are extremely good. The problem is just we don't have kind of an implementation of LLMs that let them edit videos and actually find good content or create it. So that's the only limitation. And then if we look at captions, this is an app you can get on your phone or computer to add captions to a video. But they started doing more than that. They recently released this API which allows you to basically this guy yeah, so this guy is AI entirely. I mean, he's literally just an AI, and they have a bunch of AI characters. I think you can twin yourself. Yeah, so you can actually like twin yourself and create AI characters. So it's not like you can't do videos like this where it's like a selfie style. You can, okay? So that is why AI creates content, okay? Then my next argument is that AI negates capital, okay? Okay, yeah, just wanted to make sure that was right. But essentially, capital, we're talking about like it means money, the way you use money, and you can like lend it out or deploy it. Okay, and I was talking about this earlier. Um, and if we're talking about this in the context of a startup, if you're like Uber and you raise like $100 million or however much they raised, you're going to be able to do what they call blitz scaling, where you get a shit ton of customers and you make your product really good so that no one can compete with you, right? No one's going to come in with less money and have a shittier product. They're not going to get any users, right? So that's the point: is you get a bunch of money, you can use that to leverage your position and to end up as the market leader. So if you were using AI, I mean, the biggest thing is you're using AI to either spend that money on ads or sorry, you're using money to either spend that money on ads or to hire software engineers. Well, we already saw that software engineers will eventually be replaced mostly by AI. So you don't really need as much money to hire software engineers. And then you can also hire AI or use AI to create content, which will get you impressions, which is similar to ads, but it's going to be much cheaper. So essentially, what you end up with is capital is somewhat negated. I'm not going to say it's like completely pointless. Obviously, having money is always good and useful, but it does kind of level the playing field if you actually have a good AI, okay? And then finally, I'm just going to say coding is so much easier than it used to be. I mean, I did like, an hour of coding in high school. I came into coding a couple of months ago, and it's just been so easy to learn. You use cursor.dev, you use v0.dev, or not cursor.dev, cursor.com, right? Everyone's heard about this, the AI IDE. You use v0 for front end, and then you just use Claude within Cursor or ChatGPT for quick answers and questions. And that's essentially all you need to do to learn to code. So one thing I want to acknowledge is content might be the best form of leverage at the moment. I mean, if we look at this guy, yeah, this is a long ass video, but 2.1 million views, as we saw, between $5,000 and $10,000. That's pretty good. And this video is going to keep making money and getting views forever. So, I mean, content is extremely good. You don't have to know how to program. You just have to basically put in the work to make videos and make them quality. But that is not going to last, as we're saying. And yeah, I think the biggest advice ends up being like, we just need to get really good at building agents, like agents that can actually like create code or create content. That's going to be the ultimate form of leverage, is having an agent or knowing how to build agents or having enough money to rent or use an agent that can actually do things for you. Okay, so the race is on. And with that, I'll see you in the next one.